Welcome to the Soft Life with Sadie Baddies. Sadie Baddies is the antidote to mental health stigma, and this podcast is hosted by yours truly, Priscilla O. Adjaman. We are a virtual sanctuary centering Black and multiracial people, and we prioritize the mental and emotional nourishment that is the foundation of collective healing in our communities. Thank you for being here. Welcome back to the Soft Life Baddies. Happy Tuesday and happy spring. Today is the official first day of spring. So happy spring equinox. I feel like there was such a collective just relief and excitement for this new season. It's also Aries season. So all my Aries babies, all my fire sign babies, I know that this is your time to shine. As a fire sign, as a Sagittarius myself, I love when there's this new exciting energy. It's really, really invigorating. And if you don't feel it or you don't know what I'm talking about, just take a moment to look around you. Just be a little bit more present and observant, and you will feel that same excitement and just invigorating energy, rejuvenation that I think a lot of people are feeling right now. So welcome spring. So as y'all know, we had our very first print feature in Essence magazine. A lot of you have tagged us and have seen your own, gotten your own copies of the Essence feature, which is the March and April edition. So I'm so grateful and excited to see this podcast highlighted and spotlighted in one of the most, if not the most important and relevant Black publications that we have, and just publications in general. So this is a milestone for us. It's historical. And again, this is such a great addition to Women's History Month, which has been overall a very exciting time for me, for my team, and for so many of you. So very, very grateful. And if you do happen to get a copy or you read the digital article, definitely tag us at the Soft Life Pod, or you can tag me at Priscilla O. Adjaman. We'll repost, and just happy to share. Also, we are going to be bringing back some guests on the show very soon. We do have some guests lined up for the next few episodes, so stay tuned. It's going to be some people that you have been wanting to see for some time. So we have, folks who are in the community building space. We have educators, some content creators, entrepreneurs. So excited to bring on some guests to the show. I love having conversations with people who are really well versed in what they do, but also people who are from different walks and different parts of their journey in life. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, though, I think I have personally been loving doing solo episodes. I think this really gives me an opportunity to talk directly to you and really shed light on some topics and conversations that, we've been having online, offline, and I think y'all are enjoying it as well. So last week's topic was all about building your personal brand and maintaining authenticity as a creator. A lot of people resonate with this topic because building your personal brand is very on trend right now. But looking beyond that, really honing into what your personal brand is, how you can develop it, how to network, and all while keeping true to yourself and being authentic as a person. And that is one of the biggest skills that I am still learning. I think that even though I am young in my career and I'm young in my business and as a business person, I still feel really excited to share some of this insight. And I think that's how we can all learn from each other, is instead of it just being one person teaching another, we're all kind of learning from each other, which I think is one of the most amazing aspects of being in this digital age. So today's episode is all about how to glow up in 2023. And this is your glow up guide for 2023. So today we're going to talk about health and wellness routines, mindsets, and practices that will help you to feel elevated and step into this new year, and this new chapter and season that we're in right now. As I mentioned before, we are in the season of spring, at least on the East Coast in New York City. Maybe elsewhere it's still winter and, depending on where you are in the world, but we are officially in spring and we are in the spring equinox, and spring is very symbolic. There are a lot of elements and themes and characteristics of every season, and just like when you look outside and you can tell what the weather is and your mood is affected by that weather, the seasons also affect how we behave and the patterns that we have. So, right now, being in this spring season, spring represents birth, spring represents resetting, spring represents growth. So, this is the perfect time to start something new. This is the perfect time to reset, and if you've been wanting a refresh and you just been feeling dry and ashy and just not feeling cute, this is the perfect time to really reset and feel rejuvenated. I can feel a change in the atmosphere that I'm in mentally, physically, emotionally, and I think that this is a wonderful opportunity to think about your routines, your mindset, and the practices that you want to help that you're going to carry on into the rest of the year that are going to either help you thrive or kind of stay where you are currently. So I love spring for so many reasons, and I actually find that this is the season that I feel most comfortable starting to create some of those visions that I have for the rest of the year. So I actually didn't create a vision board this year in January, and I usually don't. As of the last 2 to 3 years, I have kind of stopped doing my vision boards in January or in the beginning of the year or even at the end of the year. And for those of you who don't know what a vision board is simply a visual tool or a visual guide that can help you to put on paper what it is that you want to embody, what it is you want to call in, what you want to manifest, or what you're praying for. It doesn't necessarily have a spiritual or religious purpose, but some people do use it in that way. I personally use it more as a development tool, and it's really helped me to shape the themes and practices that I want to incorporate into the new year. So I don't usually make my vision board until around this time, around spring anyway, because I know that it's better and it's more appropriate for me to be in rhythm with nature. And when you yield to the natural rhythm of nature, things are just so much more in flow, in my opinion. So that's something that I've been doing and practicing, and it's actually been very effective when I go back on my vision board from 2021 or 2020. Although things change and there's a lot of unexpected hiccups and, things happen, failures happen, sometimes things go left, and that's okay. But for the most part, I can still say that my vision boards have helped to kind of shape the type of year that I end up having. So, what is a glow up? What's the purpose of a glow up, right? So let's talk about what a glow up is not first. So, a glow up is not a way for you to micromanage yourself. It's not for you to try to be quote unquote that girl, which I'll talk about in a minute. Or it's not a way for you to fall into the slippery slope of chasing unrealistic beauty standards, chasing productivity, being hyper productive, or chasing unrealistic health standards as well. So a glow up is not a way for you to kind of beat yourself up and hyper focus on all the little things that you hate or dislike about yourself or your insecurities. And also when it comes to being that girl, we know that that girl, that that girl trend that is heavily shared on TikTok, YouTube, and social media in general, that girl is, you are that girl. There is no one way to be that girl because you are that girl. There's not a template for how to be the best version of yourself because you are the only person that's going to be able to be the best version of yourself. So redefining what it is that you want to create and the lifestyle that you want to create for yourself, that is really the most important aspect. And a glow up is simply an elevated a way to embody an elevated version of yourself, which may include an internal and external transformation. It doesn't necessarily need to be visible to the outside, but it could be if you wanted to. Really, my focus is to emphasize how this process is rooted in compassion and self awareness above everything else. This is not supposed to be a process that's rooted in hatred and insecurity and shame. This process is rooted in compassion and love and self awareness because those are the characteristics which are going to help you to get closer to your goal. It's a lot easier to get closer to something if you root it in love and in compassion than if you root it in shame and hating what you're working towards. And there's a lot of ways that you can have or start your glow up, but truly it's all about having baby steps and creating a plan that works for you so that you can hold yourself accountable. Or you can also have a glow up plan with a friend or a family member, somebody in your life who also wants to maybe change some aspects about themselves or their lifestyle. And that can be something that you do together. And whole reason why, like, why would you want to have a glow up if you love the way you are, if you love the outcome of your life, if you love every result of your decision making and it's going great for you, or you love how you feel or how you look, that's awesome. So don't change anything. But if you do want to embrace change, or you've been feeling stagnant and you want to kind of let go of the past, those feelings of like feeling not like you're stepping into the best version of yourself, then a glow up might be something to consider. I personally have to acknowledge also that my glow up and what a glow up means for me might be very different than what it looks like for you. And that's perfectly fine. You know, I am someone that lives in a big city. I live in New York City. I have a remote job, so I work from home. I don't have any children. So my privileges in that way and then my sense of freedom is different, than somebody who may not have those same details of their lifestyle. So adjusting to what works for you is key. I think that's my main issue with the kind of the that girl trend is that I don't think people know that they need to actually fine tune and cater and design this to be something that works for them and with them versus against them. So, just keeping all of that in mind, let's dive into the first part of developing your glow up and how to start. So, I think that a lot of this starts with your mindset first, above all. So, what I like to do sometimes is if I've been feeling like I'm in a rut, or if I've been feeling, and to clarify, a rut is not, clinical depression. If you're somebody that's diagnosed with clinical depression or another mental health diagnosis, that does not mean that you're in a rut. That is literally a clinical diagnosis. So, just to be clear, and, I have to always clarify because sometimes if you don't leave room for that nuance, then things can be misconstrued, right? So when I talk about feeling stuck in a rut, I'm talking about when you just know that with a few minor changes you could really start to feel a lot better. That's what I'm talking about. So this mindset that I've worked with and have done before is it starts with kind of a self-assessment and inventory. I kind of look at my life and I kind of sometimes I'll even put it on a spreadsheet or I'll write it down on paper, but I do an inventory. I talk about when was the last time I went to the doctor? When was the last time I got blood work? Do I even know what my blood work looks like? I remember last year going to the doctor and getting blood work done for the first time, I think since 2020. Um, and I learned that I was deficient in vitamin D, and that's something I wouldn't know unless I had gotten my blood work done. So, going to the doctor for your regular checkups, that's one of the most, you know, baseline ways to kind of get a grasp on what your body feels like right now. or if you go to like a naturopathic doctor, depending on what your preferences are, but just getting a kind of a basic panel of what your body is feeling and looking like on the inside, you know? And then I also look at aspects like my mental health, like therapy or, um, you know, counseling. Is there something in are there areas in my life where I need to kind of put more attention to? Do I spend a lot of time kind of ruminating? Do I feel like I'm overthinking a lot? Maybe I can try therapy, maybe I can try journaling, maybe I can try finding a support group. Also being aware of what I'm consuming, both in terms of food, in terms of my content, in terms of media, in terms of energy and my relationships. What are my relationships look like? How are my relationships nourishing to me? If you are single, are you in a time in your life where being single feels good, and it feels liberating, and you feel free, and you feel excited about the possibilities? Or are you in a point in your life where you want to be partnered? Do you want to have a relationship? Do you want to, kind of think about those things in your life and just do a really simple assessment? Ask yourself those questions of like, where are you right now in life? Truly, or do you feel like you are in a place where you're content, or do you feel like you're in a place where you're really struggling and this is a time to maybe see if you need to ask for help for certain areas of your life? And then a part of this like self-assessment is also asking myself what's missing or what's lacking. What do I have too much of right now in my life? What do I have too little of? And I can do this practice at any point in the day. I can do this every day, once a week. But one thing I always like to ask myself is like, what is my input and output lately? Right now, lately, I have been putting a lot of energy into developing content. I've been putting a lot of energy into planning and strategizing this business and this online business that is Sadie Baddies, and that is the podcast, our digital products. And maybe I've been putting too little time in kind of planning other aspects of my life, I think that for me, I kind of try to shorthand some other areas of my life, for example, health and wellness. As much as I do care about my health and wellness, I don't plan out my meals weeks in advance the same way I plan out content. I don't plan out my exercises or really track what I'm consuming as much as I do how much I'm posting and how much, engagement I'm working towards. So it's an opportunity to be honest with yourself essentially. And I think that honesty is going to get you to a place where you trust yourself, because when you're honest with yourself, you can trust yourself. So that's part of the first aspect, is doing this kind of self-assessment. I think journaling is a great way to do this, but if you're a digital kind of person, then maybe writing this out in an online journal or Google Doc, whatever it is, can help you kind of get some of that on paper. Secondly, comparison is one of the mindset shifts that's going to help you to glow up. When you focus on the eyes on your own paper and you stay in your lane, that is what's going to snap you back into reality. It's going to snap you back into remembering that you are you and that is your power. So if you struggle with comparison a lot, curating your timeline and making sure that you are seeing a reflection of what you want to see, and whether that is following or unfollowing certain people, whether it's, instead of following a lot of influencers, maybe following more educational content, or content that's going to stimulate your brain and your mind and your soul. There's so many people that are creating amazing content, and I see this a lot, especially on Twitter. People love to say everybody's doing the same thing, everyone's doing the same thing, nothing's original, all the girls are doing the same boring thing, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, maybe that's you, but realize that your timeline and your For You page and your dashboard, all those things, those are a reflection of what you engage in. So if you keep seeing the same thing over and over again, a lot of times that's because you're engaging with the same things over and over again. If you want to find something new, and I know that this is obviously the algorithm, it's going to perpetuate the same type of similar content. But if you want to try something new, you have to follow new people. If you want to try something new or learn something new, you can read a book about it. It does not everything needs to come from a digital source. You can read magazines. You can, if you're not able to travel, you can read up on the history or the language or the culture of another country that you want to travel to one day, and that's going to expand your mind as well. So I don't believe in complaining about seeing the same things over and over again, because to be honest, if you really wanted to change your perspective, or you wanted to change what you're seeing and what you're viewing, you can literally curate that. We have the power to do that now, where we couldn't do that before. In 2010 or 2011, when Instagram came out, we couldn't really control what we were seeing, but now we can. Now we can change the narrative of what we want to see. And I think there's a lot more autonomy in that than we think we have. So that's all part of changing your mindset, comparison, and focusing on what you are great at, what you're good at. Also, really working towards negative self talk and working to being kinder to yourself, changing the narrative to how you speak to yourself and speaking to yourself with kind eyes, as I always say, talking to yourself as you would the same gentleness you would as you were 5 years old. And that's not to say to not hold yourself accountable and be mature and, take accountability and basically own your stuff, right? It's not to say to avoid that, but you can still do all of that with compassion. You can still do all of that with gentleness and softness. And there's no need to beat yourself up or speak nasty to yourself because you think it's going to help you be a better person. You have to root everything in love. If you want to change, that's fine, but do it with love. You cannot hate yourself into a version of yourself that you aspire to be, or a version of yourself that you aspire to love one day. Rooting everything in love is the real cheat code to how to get things accomplished. And lastly, I think when it comes to mindset, a big component of that is also not assuming that you know the outcome for everything. And when I say this, I mean the mind reading thing. If you are the type of person that tends to overanalyze people's gestures or overanalyze people's responses or their tone. And trust me, I say this because I used to be this person too. And I used to attribute this to just being very sensitive, or, oh, I have Scorpio placement. So this is very natural for me to do, which it is, it is. But I will say that there's a lot of freedom that comes with allowing people to communicate their needs to you rather than you trying to do it for them. If you're trying to telepathically send people messages, or you're trying to pick up on the small little tiny fluctuation in their voice and their tone, you're not really giving people an opportunity to speak up for themselves. And instead of assuming that you know what someone's thinking all the time, realize that sometimes that is projection. Sometimes we project what we think other people are thinking because we are judging ourselves the same way we think other people are judging us. And that kind of mindset of, I hate being perceived. I hate being perceived. I don't want to be seen. I don't want people to judge me. That's because you're judging yourself as well, So focus on creating a welcoming environment that invites transparency and it invites honesty, rather than just assuming that you know the outcome for every single thing, or that you know what someone's thinking, or, oh, that person didn't like my post, so I bet that they are, they don't like me anymore. It's like, half the time the algorithm doesn't even show you your friend's content. You have to go on their page or see their story to see what they even shared half the time. So, that's number one. And number two, it's also realizing that it's okay to leave room to let people communicate and speak up and share their needs from you. That is going to help you to be a better communicator overall. So these mindset shifts of doing a self-assessment, letting go of comparison, working through negative self-talk, and not always assuming the outcome, or trying to mind read, that's going to free up all of this space in your mind that's taking up so much real estate, that's going to free you up to have more creativity, to have more energy to think through problems. It's going to free you up to have more energy and space for decision making. Those are the things that's going to help you glow up. So this is the first part of, the mindset shift and refresh. So, second aspect of a glow up is your productivity and your routines. So, I love using various tools that help me and work for me, not against me. Some of those tools include Notion, and for all my Notion girlies, if you know, you know, Notion is essentially it serves as my personal and business database. All the content that I plan and write is on Notion, pretty much. And Notion is just a really great way to organize your ideas. It's great for project management, among some other things. Also for scheduling calls or meetings or interview requests for the podcast. Calendly is a great way because it automates the whole process. Instead of doing this back and forth, oh, when are you free? Oh, I'm free then. Oh, actually, there's a time conflict, back and forth. You just send them a Calendly link. They choose a time that works for both of you because you set the hours yourself. And then you go from there, and it can send your guest a notification, a reminder. Google Calendar is also great for scheduling or time blocking if you're someone that likes to time block. And, maybe we can talk about more like these productivity methods later in another episode. But I think Google Calendar is also like just a really simple, tried and true way. It's also free, so those are really great tools for time management and project management. And then also there's GoodNote. For folks who have iPads, especially, I know a lot of people love to use GoodNote on their iPads or their, just tablet in general. So GoodNote is a really good app that you can use as well to schedule out your daily to dos. And Asana, of course, is also really good for project management. Also, I used Asana mostly if I'm working with somebody else on a project. So I think Asana is a great way to do like team collaboration. And if you have a small team of one or two people like myself, or you have a larger team, Asana is a great way to kind of consolidate all of your work and then keep everyone afloat with tasks on a day-to-day basis. Another part of the productivity and routines aspect of your glow up is developing a morning and a night routine. I get asked about this a lot about, how are you able to run Sadie Baddies and do this while having a 9 to 5? And something that I always say is that my morning routine and my night routine keep me grounded. They keep me sane. I depend on these routines because now it's part of my subconscious and I don't have to think about it anymore. There was a time I had to think about, okay, what do I do after I make my bed? Oh, I guess okay, let me go brush my teeth and then maybe I'll do some, journaling. Now I don't think about it. I just do it. And it's so much easier to get up in the morning when you have a routine. And routines are actually shown to help people that do struggle with mental health issues such as depression because it requires less decision making and it can help to prevent decision fatigue. So if you're somebody that deals with, decision fatigue or you get overwhelmed a lot, um, by decision making, having routines can be really a really helpful way to kind of just lean into this semi automatic way of going about your day. And I think productivity can look different for all of us, but some of the basic elements of my morning routine include movement practice. So waking up in the morning, making my bed, lighting my incense, doing setting my intention for the day. But after that, getting up and getting some sunlight right away if I can and going on a walk for about 30 minutes really helps to wake me up. It helps to also calm my nervous system into waking up into the day. And doing that without spending zero to little time on social media in the morning. For waking up and getting on social media first thing in the morning is, to me, it's the equivalent of waking up and inviting hundreds, if not thousands of people to call your phone or speak to you or text you at the same time. Even though you're passively scrolling, you can kind of scroll past it. You're still passively looking at this content and absorbing this content that you're seeing. So I feel so much better when I stay off my phone for at least the first hour, maybe 2 hours if I can in the morning. And of course, I'll get back to comments and questions, DMs, that kind of stuff throughout the day if I can. But truly making this a habit has really, really helped me to have a much more peaceful morning routine because waking up and reading the thoughts of people on Twitter first thing is it's just not the best way to start your day, in my opinion. You wake up first thing and you grab your phone and you immediately go on Instagram. You see how many likes you got on your last post. That's forcing yourself to look at that as a sense of awakening, first of all. And also that dopamine hit that you get when seeing likes or notifications on TikTok or whatever social media platform you're checking, that goes away in a split second. So immediately you're actually looking to chase that dopamine hit that you just had when you just woke up just because of checking your phone. And it's something that really, when I do wake up and I occasionally do check my phone first thing in the morning, I regret it. It's like instant regret, instant ick. I try to avoid it because personally I've realized like it really does not serve me well. Maybe for other people it does. Maybe it makes them feel connected, or maybe they're really invested in learning about something, so they're checking. But for me personally, I've learned to kind of stay off of it first thing in the morning. And then, another part of or aspect of my morning routine is having a moment of stillness. So that could include journaling, that could include meditation, that could include, just having a moment to kind of do some breath work even. I think these are all really simple tools and practices to incorporate into your day to day. And of course, paying attention to your space and looking to see what fosters creativity for you. Is it the scent in your room? I know for me, I've said this a couple times. I need to have my incense in the morning. Having incense in the morning helps me to feel, first of all, it smells amazing, and I love sandalwood. Incense is my favorite scent. But I love to light some incense and ground myself into the present day. Sight, waking up, opening up your blinds, maybe making your bed, whatever it is, your space is going to contribute to the elements that help you to feel inspired and creative and productive throughout the day. So I always try my best to keep my office space clean so that when I do need to go in there and start my workday, that I feel ready and I'm not like, oh, I have all these clothes everywhere in the corner, and now I have to focus on that instead of just kind of getting into my day. So that has always been a way for me to just create a loving environment for myself. And then of course, for in terms of productivity, is learning something new. And this could be something like, reading a book, obviously reading a book, or learning a new skill, like maybe a new language. For me lately as an adult, I've been loving taking workout classes, and I love taking Pilates. I take a bar class every month. I would say every couple weeks or so, I'll go to a bar class. And bar is just a form of Pilates that do in class format, and I love it. And it actually makes me feel very connected to my inner child because I used to do ballet as a kid, and I loved ballet, and I went for years. And now as an adult, I'm like, wow, I'm literally right back where I am, except, this is more of a workout versus it being a dance. And it's such a great way for me to feel embodied, feel connected. I love the class format. So, I'm not doing it alone. And it's something I look forward to on the weekends. I think also I've been trying hot yoga. which I love. Hot yoga is really, really great for me to feel present. And it's such a workout, y'all. Like, I did hot yoga this weekend. I went on Saturday and I was so sore the next day. I felt like I was lifting weights in the gym. I felt the same way I do if I do lift weights. So it's definitely a workout and just learning something new. Having a non paying hobby, whether it's knitting, whether it's coloring, whether it's video games, whatever it is, having a non-paying hobby that's going to help you to feel a sense of exploration. And this can be something that you include as part of your daily routine on a regular basis. And having learning something new allows you to have a sense of accomplishment. It can help you to overcome challenges and help you deal with learning curves too. You know, when you're not good at something for the first time, but then you do it two, three, four, five, 6 times, it helps you to feel more comfortable dealing with challenges, and it can help you to expand opportunities for growth. So, I love learning something new as part of my regular routine, and it does actually help me to be more productive, because it sparks that aspect of me that loves to try something and learn something new on a regular basis. And lastly, let's talk about some of the habits and practices that can help you with your glow up. So, one thing that I started doing in the beginning of this year was to examine my relationship with substances. So, one thing that I did in the beginning, since January 1st, I was alcohol free for 60 days. And primarily, I wanted to explore, you know, practicing this because I've never been a heavy drinker to begin with. I was always somebody that was kind of more of a social drinker. So if I would, go out with friends, or when I used to work at a startup, and if you know, startups love to have happy hours. It's like ingrained in the culture. So, we'd have happy hours a lot of the times, but I kind of wanted to just explore and see, like, can I go 60 days without alcohol? Like, is this something that I can do? And I did. And it was refreshing for me. I did break that streak on the day that I got engaged, because we celebrated with champagne, and rightfully so. It was definitely worth it. But I decided to kind of go back into being mostly alcohol free, or really reducing my alcohol intake for the rest of this year. And I have significantly. So I've, learned a lot about just what alcohol does to the mind and body. And also, this is not to try to tell you how to consume or what to consume or anything. But if you are interested in learning more about, alcohol specifically and the effects that it has on your body, I will link below the episode to the Huberman Lab podcast that I listened to sometime last year, that kind of was honestly the spark to this, and me being alcohol free and sober curious, I guess you can say. And this also goes with substances like, smoking or cannabis. If you're someone that's really heavily dependent on smoking, cigarettes or nicotine or cannabis, I think that it's a good way to kind of look at those practices and say, is this a habit that I have because I really enjoy it and it really makes my life significantly better? It improves the quality of my life. Or is this a habit that I've picked up that I just can't shake because it's a habit now? So I always look at this as an opportunity this time of year, especially. This is a great opportunity to examine and see if there's areas in your life where you could or maybe want to scale down and cut back versus going cold turkey. I don't think that you cutting back on any substances is a bad idea. If it's something that's starting to affect you on a regular basis and on a day to day, then consider maybe scaling down and cutting back rather than going cold turkey, so that it could be a sustainable practice for you. So, shout out to all the sober curious girlies. I'm definitely in my mocktail era. I've been making a lot of mocktails. I love it, and I've been enjoying it for the most part. Another practice that I think is super important to this entire glow up is doing something nice for yourself hopefully you're doing something nice for yourself every day, but even if it's not every day, or whatever is within your means, I think could be a wonderful way to start, again, anchoring this improvement, this self-improvement into, and rooting it in love and appreciation. So one thing that I love to do at least once a week or whenever I can is, buy flowers, maybe make my favorite coffee. If you've been eyeing something on your wish list, if you've been eyeing something on the Real, Far-Fetched, Essence, whatever, just taking yourself on dates, even, or going to paint your nails, getting your nails done, getting a massage, a facial, whatever cadence you can afford. I feel like life is too damn short to just pay bills and die, basically. Like, there has to be some pleasure. And I don't think that life is meant to just be us going to our jobs, clocking in, clocking out, and then not having anything to do that's just for us and that's special. And having some enjoyment, have some fun, have a weekly ritual, whether it's with friends, whether it's with a partner, your boo thing, or if it's by yourself, but doing something nice for yourself, something that you can look forward to. And this also includes planning ahead. So for me, what I typically do is on the weekends or before the weekends, I already know what I'm doing on the weekend. More likely than not, I know what I'm doing on the weekend by like Tuesday of that week, because I typically will plan it a few days in advance, or if me and my fiance are doing something, we'll plan something together in advance. We'll plan something together in advance and, make plans for it, something that we can look forward to, something that's non-work related, that's non-productivity related, just something that's for you. And I promise you, life will feel so much better, especially when you make those plans in advance and you can fully enjoy and immerse yourself in enjoying that. And I know that, I'm hoping that we get to a point in our society when we realize that we as human beings, we shouldn't have to work 40 hours a week to be able to have a weekend, 48 hours to ourselves and try to cram in all the stuff we're trying to cram in into those 2 days. I really hope we get there as a society. But for now, I'm going to make sure that my weekends are as full as possible. I'm going to make sure that they include rest, that they include leisure, that they include play, that they include pleasure. I think that those elements to make a great weekend, whether you spend them with yourself, with a loved one, with friends, just creating a ritual around having a time of your at least once or twice a week where you are looking forward to it. And I also find that breaking up your week as well, like not waiting for the weekend to do something. I think that planning dates in the middle of the week is awesome. I love sometimes my fiance and I will plan like a random breakfast date. Like it'll be like a Monday or a Tuesday, and we're like, let's go get breakfast before we start our work day. And like it's just something to look forward to. Or me and my friends sometimes will co-work. So I have a few friends that also live in New York, and they work remotely, or they might work a hybrid schedule, whatever it is, but we're able to co-work and we can kind of meet up and work and do, what we need to do our meetings, all that stuff, but still spend time with each other. And it just makes life so much better. So if you've been wanting to do that, or if you do have the chance to work from home, maybe switch it up, go to a coffee shop, go to a little cafe, go to a Barnes and Noble, go to a library. You can go anywhere. It doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't even matter what your backdrop is of what city you're in or where you are in the world. But having something to look forward to every week is really, it helps you to not look at life as just like work. There's more to life than just work. Trust me. So I always look forward to creating something, a moment in my week that I have something to look forward to. And I also think doing something nice for someone you love once a week, or whenever you can, is really important too. And this could be picking up the phone and calling a loved one or a family member. This could be dropping off groceries to your friend, or if your friend is sick, maybe dropping off some snacks and something to make them feel better, or volunteering, community service. I spent a lot of time doing community service and I still do. I think that community service is one of the underrated ways to feel good, not just about yourself, but feel better about humanity in general, you know? I think sometimes we get bombarded with dark, really sad and depressing news, and that is not to say that that's not real. However, when you do use your time to give back, or are trying to use your time to make a difference and make at least a small drop in the bucket of what needs to be kind of completely uprooted, in my opinion, when it comes to society, when you really just try to take time and give back your time, your energy, whether it's donating clothes or maybe volunteering at a puppy shelter, whatever it is, that's going to also help you glow up too. Because when you are better and when you feel better, you can show up better into the world as well. So, just want to remind you that glowing up doesn't need to be this big, scary process. It's all about, number one, looking at your mindset and seeing what's been your mindset lately. How can you change some of those things? What self-assessment do you need so that you can shift your thinking and your perspective? And then, of course, it's about your productivity and your routines, your practices that you do every single day, the habits that you do every single day. They become the person that you are over time. And if you want to be somebody that takes care of themselves and takes care of their health and shows up for themselves in all aspects of their life, it requires baby steps. It does require a little bit every day for you to make those changes, but it takes time. It's a process. So being patient with that process. And I don't necessarily think it always requires for you to have this motivation and this, image of yourself. Oh, I want to be this. I want to be snatched by summer. That's great and everything. And maybe you don't need motivation. We have a lot of sources of inspiration in this world, especially with social media. You can look up your ideal body type. You can look up anything you want and you can picture it or put a face to it. Maybe you don't need motivation. Maybe you just need a sustainable system. Maybe you need to root your practices in love and acceptance versus it being something that you want to hide from or run from, So a glow up is something that takes time, and those practices every day will eventually create a ripple effect, and it's going to transform you over time. I think about when I was 25 and the practices and habits that I had back then versus what I have now, it's like day and night. I mean, even 21. When I was 21, I did not think twice about having a morning routine. I didn't care about that. I didn't care about, waking up and being off my phone or making sure that the people around me were people that had my best intentions and people that truly saw the inner light in me and vice versa. Was not self-aware enough to even recognize that. So just realize that over time, think about the person you were 5 years ago, the person you were 10 years ago, how different that is now. And when you show up for yourself every single day in those small doses, it will create the environment that your future self will exist in. So those patterns and those behaviors, that's what's going to help you to become that person over time. It's not an overnight process. And it doesn't need to be this dramatic transformation either. It can simply be you showing up every day, choosing yourself every day, choosing love every day versus you forcing yourself to be somebody that you're not. So I hope that this helps you. I hope that this glow up guide inspires you to, if you've been wanting a change, if you've been wanting to switch it up, if you've been wanting to step into your bad bitch era, this is your sign. And I love that for us. So I hope that you have a beautiful beginning of your spring. And I will see you in the next episode. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple or wherever you listen to podcasts. and leave us a little review on Apple if you love this episode. And I will see you next week. Stay soft. To stay connected, join Saddie Baddies on Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, and more, and sign up for our monthly newsletter on saddiebaddies.com to stay in the loop. Sending you hella love, and stay soft, baddie.